The Los Angeles Rams are well on their way to completing a perfect offseason for the organization. After trading for cornerback Trent McDuffie from the Chiefs and extending safety Cam Curl, they've nearly fortified one of their biggest weak points from last season. Before diving into the other moves the Rams should make in order to hoist the Lombardi Trophy once again in 2026, let's look back at what went wrong in 2025 to understand what needs to be fixed before next season. The 2025 Los Angeles Rams were a force to be reckoned with and one of the most entertaining teams in the NFL. The Rams featured a complete star-studded roster joined by lesser-known utility players who stepped up dramatically. Led by play-calling genius Sean McVay, the Rams' transformative scheme helped them finish as the #1 total offense in 2025. The Rams finished the season with 6,709 total yards and 65 touchdowns. Their offensive line was just as solid, tying for the fewest sacks allowed in the league with only 23. Additionally, the offensive line blocked against the blitz brilliantly in 2025. Matthew Stafford threw a league-high 46 touchdowns, 32 of which came against the blitz, while only throwing 1 interception. The 37-year-old quarterback delivered one of the best seasons of his NFL career in his 17th season in the league. He set the NFL record for consecutive touchdown passes without an interception, tallying only 8 interceptions in the regular season on 4,707 passing yards and 46 touchdowns. When under center on play-action dropbacks, Stafford also threw a league-high 18 touchdowns and completed 38 downfield passes. Stafford turned an uncertain offseason into arguably the strongest season of his career, all while adding a nice piece of hardware to his collection, the MVP award. But, as a competitor, Stafford would likely trade that MVP for another Super Bowl ring. Despite their explosiveness on offense, the Rams' structural weaknesses showed up in their biggest moments, highlighting flaws among their secondary, situational defensive schemes, and of course, their special teams. Here's a brief overview of how the Rams can craft their perfect plan in the offseason after a blockbuster trade in the wake of the new league year. Deciding which pending free agents are worth re-signing, which free agents to snag off the market to beef the veteran presence on defense, and a draft plan that highlights their missing pieces on both offense and defense. But before we get into that, let's take a look at the Rams' 2025 uh-ohs in review. The Rams had a near-perfect trajectory to a simpler Super Bowl path before big mistakes began to take their toll. Heading into the massive Week 16 Thursday Night Football matchup against the Seattle Seahawks, the Rams sat atop the NFC West and held a 62% chance to win the division. The Rams were in the driver's seat for the majority of the game, holding a 30-14 lead with 9 minutes and 4 seconds left in the fourth quarter, their win probability sitting at a comfortable 97%. The Seahawks, however, had one of the best special teams in the NFL. That was quickly proven after Rashid Shaheed returned a 58-yard punt for a touchdown, igniting a huge momentum shift.
That punt is caught, and down the line goes Rashid Shaheed for the score.
The Rams' offense then fell silent, and the defensive flaws were on full display. The lead was trimmed to 30-28 when the Seahawks lined up for what ended up being one of the most unlikely two-point conversions in NFL history.
After reviewing the play, the quarterback threw a backward pass, which was recovered in the end zone by the offense. It is a successful conversion.
That is the craziest ever.
This play altered the Seahawks' course for the remainder of the season. They went on to convert their third two-point conversion of the game in overtime to seal the walk-off win and carve a beautiful path to the first seed in the NFC. This Week 16 collapse not only destroyed the Rams' perfect path to the NFC West champions, but their dreams of the #1 seed in the NFC as well. If they beat the Seahawks in Week 16, they would have been a win away from locking up the NFC West, securing the #1 seed in the NFC, earning a bye, and facing the 49ers and Seahawks at home in the playoffs. Home field advantage was a difference maker between the two teams. In Week 11, Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions in their 21-19 loss to the Rams at SoFi Stadium. In 2025, the Rams' record at home was 7-1, while their record on the road was 4-4 if you exclude their international game against the Jaguars in London. Then comes the NFC Championship. The Rams had a 13-10 lead before Seattle got the ball back with 54 seconds left in the first half. They quickly marched 74 yards for a touchdown, sparked by a 42-yard catch from Jackson Smith-Njigba on a busted coverage downfield, and it ended with a JSN wide-open touchdown in the end zone for the score.
Guess who? Smith-Njigba, touchdown Seattle!
Flipping the entire momentum of the game in the Seahawks' favor, followed by a muff punt by Xavier Smith to set the Seahawks up in the red zone to extend their lead to 24-13. Ultimately, the Seahawks would go on to win the game and continue building momentum. During Seattle's 10-game winning streak, the Seahawks defense gave up 162 points to opposing offenses, averaging only 16.2 points a game. Yet the Rams scored a combined 64 points in their two matchups during that span, which comes to an average of 32 points per game. Stafford recorded 8 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, and 961 passing yards during their 3 meetings against Seattle this season. Nearly 1/4 of the total passing yards the Seahawks gave up all season, including playoffs, came against Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Despite Stafford's valiant effort, it was not enough to overcome on the road against a great Seahawks team. While you can't chalk up the Rams' entire season to just one play, it's important to note how many games seem to be reduced to one single moment. So what exactly went wrong for the Rams this season? Their special teams unit ranked 26th in the league, leading to a firing of special teams coordinator Chase Blackburn in Week 16. The Rams started the season with kicker Joshua Carty, who was 10 of 15 in field goal attempts and only 23 of 26 in extra point attempts. He was quickly released. The Rams secondary struggled to defend speedy and physical wide receivers, and there was an apparent over-reliance on the front 7. When the defensive line couldn't get it done, it led to the defensive backs giving up big plays down the stretch. Their defensive backs lacked critical speed, which allowed pass catchers to create separation. The Rams secondary allowed 21 deep passes of 20 or more air yards. However, the Rams were quick to address this issue. The Chiefs received the Rams' 29th pick, along with a 5th and 6th round pick, and a 3rd round pick in the 2027 NFL Draft. In 2025, McDuffie allowed 3 touchdowns on 56 targets in 13 games. McDuffie adds speed to the outside and physicality in coverage. His ability to shut down the first and second options will complement the pass rush, creating a cohesiveness the Rams struggled to find on defense in 2025. The trade for McDuffie has layers to it, as it seems like the Rams are sticking to their mentality of trading picks away heading into the NFL Draft. It's clear that Rams general manager Les Snead and Sean McVay are wasting no time to fix their mistakes and climb that mountain for a taste of another Super Bowl victory. But what's next this offseason? The Rams are projected to have over $27 million in 2026 salary cap space after trading for McDuffie and extending safety Cam Curl to a 3-year, $36 million contract. The safety ranked second among all defensive backs in total tackles during the regular season and snatched a pivotal interception against the Bears in the NFC divisional round in overtime. They could also create more than $48 million in additional room through restructures or strategic cuts, with a likely focus on extending key pieces like Puka Nacua, whose rookie contract expires after the 2026 season. However, they have a lot of players to consider re-signing or extending. The Rams' remaining notable free agents include cornerbacks Kobe Durant, Roger McCreary, and Ahkello Witherspoon, deep threat wide receiver Tutu Atwell, center Coleman Shelton, and tackle Alaric Jackson. But with a new cornerback making his home in Los Angeles, it leaves their pending free agent defensive backs in a vulnerable spot. Land shark Kobe Durant simply was not as successful as he has been in seasons past, and will likely ask for a bigger contract than what he's worth. In 2022, Durant ranked first in NFL passer rating allowed for slot corners with a 48.7 rating. But in 2025, he allowed a 70.3 passer rating. In the 2 regular season matchups versus the Seahawks, Kobe Durant was targeted 16 times in coverage, the most targets faced by any Rams defender. With Roger McCreary and Ahkello Witherspoon likely to test the open market, the Rams should focus on their remaining free agents. Coleman Shelton ranked 4th in offensive snaps played, allowed 2 sacks, and gave up only 4 penalties during the regular season. Outside of their own pending free agents, the Rams have room to build off the McDuffie move to improve their secondary by signing another corner with a dominant physical presence. Like Jamel Dean, arguably the best cornerback in free agency.
Pass picked off! Taylor picked off! It's Jacob! Jamel Dean who takes it all the way back for a Bucs touchdown!
The Buccaneers cornerback stands at 6'1" and 206 pounds. He notched 3 interceptions and allowed only 1 touchdown with a 41.7 completion percentage in coverage this season. That is the lowest among defenders with at least 50 targets. When targeted, he also surrendered a league-low 41.3 passer rating and just 4.7 yards per target, the second fewest among the same group of defenders. His ability to limit big plays and effectively defend against vertical routes would make him a staple shutdown corner for the Rams defense. Paired with Trent McDuffie, these two corners would create a more aggressive man-to-man coverage in hopes of eliminating such complex defensive schemes to mask their secondary's weaknesses and becoming a big problem for quarterbacks in 2026. The Rams' defensive line has been far from the problem in 2025. With defensive tackle Kobe Turner on the field this season, the Rams rank 3rd in quarterback pressures, generating a 43.2% pressure rate, which would have ranked 1st in the NFL, according to Next Gen Stats. With Turner off the field, the Rams' pressure rate dropped to 27.2%, which would have ranked 3rd lowest. It feels less critical for the Rams to address the defensive line in free agency, when Kobe Turner, Poona Ford, and Braden Fisk have been so effective as a unit, and should push the attention of D-line help in the draft. However, the Rams are in need to upgrade their inside linebacker position that is currently occupied by Omar Speights. Speights struggled in man coverage and lacks experience in explosive plays. He has 0 career sacks, 0 career interceptions, and 0 forced fumbles. Bringing in someone like Eagles linebacker Nakobe Dean would create a seamless transition into the Rams' defensive scheme and pair well with the play style of Nate Landman. Dean is comfortable in space and capable of blitzing effectively, which would release pressure off the Rams' secondary with his ability to defend in man coverage. While Nakobe Dean makes a great fit for inside linebacker, the Rams should be targeting the most popular linebacker on the market, Devin Lloyd. Lloyd was one of the most effective linebackers on the blitz and notched 5 interceptions on the season for the Jaguars. However, his contract will be a pricey one and could quickly eat up a lot of the Rams' cap space. The Rams also need help with their special teams unit, considering that multiple games came down to the Rams' inability to execute effective football on that side of the ball. Baltimore Ravens running back Keaton Mitchell would be a perfect fit to take over running back Ronnie Rivers' role. His speed and elite acceleration would make for a brilliant kick returner who would provide effective runs on the offensive side on a low snap count. With Tutu Atwell expected to walk, the Rams will be in need of a deep threat, physical receiver with strong blocking skills. Like Colts wide receiver Alec Pierce, who is a consistent playmaker and possesses the ability to break free and get open downfield. Pierce once again proved to be the league's most dangerous vertical weapon, finishing the 2025 season atop the NFL in yards per reception at 21.3. This marks his 2nd straight year leading the league in that category. Matthew Stafford's arm would feed Pierce, especially on routes where Puka Nacua is being double-teamed. It leaves Pierce with the opportunity to get open downfield for a monster play.
Looking deep, Pierce is down there. Alec Pierce, got it!
Shortly after free agency, the Rams approach the NFL draft where they still retain a 1st-round pick, courtesy of the Atlanta Falcons. The Rams currently possess pick number 13 and should focus on targeting a cornerback, a slot receiver, or an offensive tackle. The Rams have not drafted a cornerback in the 1st round since drafting Ty Hill back in 2006. The 3 cornerbacks that would fit nicely into the Rams' defensive scheme are LSU Tigers' Mansour Delane and Tennessee Vols' Colton Hood and Jermod McCoy. Drafted talent would pair very well with Trent McDuffie or another veteran cornerback picked up in free agency to increase player development. This also provides long-term stability and durability with defensive backs that the Rams have not invested in for years. On the wide receiver side, USC wide receiver Mekhi Lemon is the type of receiver that would thrive under Sean McVay's offense, maximizing yards after catch and disrupting defensive alignment. Lemon's toughness would pair well while sharing the field with veteran Devontae Adams and elite wide receiver Puka Nacua. On the offensive line front, to help fill the void of longtime St. Louis Ram Rob Havenstein, Georgia Bulldog Monroe Freeling and Utah Ute Caleb Lemieux both have an athletic presence to improve an already impressive offensive line. The Rams' second-round pick could go in several directions to help straighten the depth of both sides of the ball. From versatile linebackers like Texas Tech's Jacob Rodriguez to dynamic wide receivers such as Ole Miss's Dazon Stribling and Oklahoma's Deion Burks, or even a physically versatile safety like South Carolina's Jalen Kilgore. Or they could go down the developmental route by drafting a quarterback like LSU's Garrett Nussmeier, with the talk of Stafford's retirement looming after the 2026 season. The Rams could easily take a quarterback and have him develop under Stafford in a similar way Jordan Love did with Aaron Rodgers before he became a starter for the Green Bay Packers. The remaining rounds should focus on finding hidden gems to round out their special teams and defensive line, as Sean McVay and Les Snead are known for their ability to sniff out later round draft picks that turn into superstars. The most obvious picks being third-round draft pick Cooper Kupp and fifth-round draft pick Puka Nacua. With these additions, it sends the Rams into the preseason in a perfect position. Coming off an incredible season with a high-caliber offense, the Rams have the tools right in front of them to find the right pieces and build around Matthew Stafford for his potential final season and last push for a promising Super Bowl run. Normally, after a franchise's star quarterback retires, the organization is in a rebuild mode for the next 5+ seasons. But the Rams have the pieces to build around what is already a top 5 offense and add playmakers to create a top 10 defense. While also having first-round draft picks in 2027, 2028, and 2029, the Rams can use their first-round picks when Stafford eventually retires to potentially draft a first-round quarterback. They can look towards a promising 2027 quarterback draft class or trade away some of those first-round picks for an elite quarterback already in the league. There's no doubt that Sean McVay and the rest of the Rams are seeking revenge following a heartbreaking end to the 2025 season. Now equipped with cap space, draft capital, and a roster that is eager to win, the Rams enter 2026 with the potential to create a team that is destined to dominate the league for years to come and win their second Super Bowl in their home stadium.